So what did you have in your mind, Chris, in regard to Vervaeke and uh Gilchrist and just thinking about the two hemispheres and the language.
Uh, Yeah, I mean, um, well, whatever. I'll just, tell you everything that I've been kind of working through. So I guess I was going back through the archives and sort of noticing like when did Vervaeke show up on the scene, right? Vervaeke shows up on the scene kind of in the lull period of when Peterson falls out. And so here comes Vervaeke, and he has this, he's got this little box of fancy Vervaeke words, right? That's kind of the message, right? It's the it's the tickle me Elmo of the year, right? Everybody wants the little box of fancy Vervaeke words. But when you think about one of them, which is the psychotechnology piece, that's the one that it's supposed to permanently alter the way that you think, right? And you can't undo it. It's permanent. And the thing he always uses is literacy. That's his go-to literacy. It's like you can't think without thinking in like you can't do it. And so what I started to realize is that, I guess it happened to me, especially with some of these phrases. It's like relevance realization in particular. It's like it's part of the way that I think. Like that little bundle of fancy Reiki words is a psychotechnology, and it permanently altered the way a group of people think. And I find it very fascinating.
For
And
sure.
I'm kind of wondering, like, is it a good thing? Because then I'm thinking about we probably need some savings throw before all that. Um,
Well, I would say yes, for a couple of reasons. One is that Christ says that there's nothing in the darkness that will not be brought to the light. So you could say it's all but inevitable that, let's say, everything that we don't have control over within our own lives, within our own selves, within our own being is going to come out one way or the other eventually. And I mean that not so much in terms of our past, but in aspects of our personality. It's like if there's a gun on the shelf at the first act of the play, that gun is going to be used at some point in the play. Um, so when you're talking about not being able to take away from yourself those parts of yourself that you've incorporated because of those words, because of those conversations, because of those things, it's an inevitable part of our journey, whether we like it or not. And we do have some control over the ship. We do have some, but in general, the ship in the tide, in the wind, is not in our control. It's the rider and the elephant thing. And the question always is, we talk a lot about navel gazing within the corner. Um, I don't think it's a bad thing to do that because I don't see a big difference between that and say a daily or a weekly examine. Um, but in all of this, I think we still have a responsibility to do that examination and in all the terms. But I do also trust the hive mind. I know that's a weird thing, but we seem to be pretty good at when, let's say, a term enters, like the latest I'm thinking of is Malcolm and Simone entering. And so we
Monoculture?
have a different sorry, what was that?
Monoculture?
Yeah. So actually the urban monoculture idea, I found that real. I think that's the single most useful idea that they are excellent critics and they are excellent diagnosticians. So I agree with PVK in that. The but I guess my point is anytime a new idea comes into the hive making the the sense making apparatus, the hive mind, we are farming out the sense making to this network, you could say. And from what I've seen over time, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this, Chris, but over time, what I've seen is that the corner has done an excellent job at separating the wheat from the chaff. Now, maybe I'm indoctrinated and I need saving throws, and that's probably true to some extent. But I think there's a lot of disagreeable people in the corner that do a good job at separating the wheat from the chaff. So,
Well, I mean, this is distributed cognition, right? I mean, that is what it, when he talks about what it is, that's what we're doing, right? The hive mind, right? It's distributed cognition, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I think as a whole, I think the group has good discernment, right? They're not bringing in, ideas that aren't useful, and that's one thing I'm always looking for. You can make a model of anything, but if it's not useful, I'll get rid of it pretty quickly. So I'll be honest, I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to the Malcolm and Simone stuff, but I did pick up on that one idea, the urban, what'd you call it? Urban monoculture.
that's it.
Yeah, it had a Tower of Babylon sort of feel to it to me.
Yeah, I actually still don't even know what it means, but so like, but like I was like that when with the fancy Vervaeke words, which I think actually Job coined the term fancy Vervaeke words, which is hilarious. With the there does seem to be like we all kind like when the new words get introduced or the new language starts to get introduced. I like this kind of this like we're like a bunch of caveman, like, oh, look at this, look at this strange looking, it's like a, I don't know, weird looking rock from like oh, look at this, and then we're all like, oh, I like this one, and so we just kind of do a silly thing, and we're like, oh, this kind of looks like 4 P's of knowledge or whatever. and then so that is kind of fun to do, and I do think it's actually working on another. I was talking with Gavin this morning actually about this, so not only are we integrating like some new language, but we're actually integrating a new attitude, which I think is the more important tool. Of like the openness. So like we're actually developing the openness attitude, which is cool, because like, oh, and that's where when I talk about play, like this is play, that's what I mean. It's like, oh, like I know I'm not going to go out into like my next job tomorrow and look at the new shower I'm putting in and start talking to the homeowner about relevance realization. You know what I mean? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Just put the shower together. And or have you this damn urban monoculture? He's going to be like, what are you talking about? But for us, it's kind of fun. We get to like, oh, this is this nice little shiny thing. It's like nobody's taking it that seriously, except maybe John Vervaeke, which is great. That's his work. He's supposed to be. That's his shower that he's building. You know what I'm saying? And so I mean, that's why. Well, Peterson, as you were talking about this, I was thinking about the different the different artifacts that have made their way into our lexicon. The first one I really think was like it was two-sided. The first one, the one side of it was, it depends on what you mean by, and then the other side of that was, so what you're saying is. And so that was two sides of the same coin. That was kind of the first toy that we started playing with, is this question of it depends, or what do you mean by, it depends on what you mean by. So it depends on what you mean by belief, and depends on blah blah blah. That phrase, I've called it the lightsaber just for shits and giggles.
Those are both disagreeable phrases.
Right. But it was a good tool. And then the flip side of that, which is the humorous side, which is very important, I think, is the "so what you're saying is" phrase, which is kind of like, that's the lightheartedness of it, right? And so we saw that, and then we got these other weird tools. You got the God number one and God number two, and then the flip side of that is everybody wants to have their own God number three. So you have these different kinds of things, and they're helping us to play with all these different kinds of tools for fun. And again, like, am I gonna, in my day job, or this is why I think the three of us had such difficulty, and I don't know who I'm gonna talk with about this stuff, right? Like, if you listen to all of the different rando conversations that Paul had, I'd say probably 90% of the people said I had nobody to talk with about this. It's like, yeah, because nobody gives a shit, basically. Like, it was really important for us to discover it, but not so that we know what the 4 P's of knowing are, or it wasn't important for that reason. It was important for something else, so that we can actually understand people, and maybe have like some good framework underneath, so that we can actually be social with people.
Yeah,
not
that's what it is. That's what it is right there. Because to be honest, like, I don't know you guys at all. Right. But we've been talking for an hour, and it's because we all kind of have this pseudo shared lexicon, like this bucket of ideas that we can sort of latch onto and have a productive conversation of some kind. It's almost like you just close the gap, right? It's like you said, you're not going to go talking to anybody about combinatorial explosiveness, right? You're like, hey, because nobody cares.
Real loud. No, go ahead.
No, it's just I think that's because when I was talking to Demir, I felt the same thing. It's like I didn't have to explain everything. You can just kind of like immediately go into the good stuff without all the explaining.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. And then our attitudes grow in that. I've noticed, anyways, my attitude around conversation, I've grown a little more of a confidence just in conversation in general, and being able to float around with different ideas, and just in this practice, I can actually go out with my coworkers, or people at church or whatever, and feel more confident in conversation in general. So it helps me that way. So I know I'm not going to use any of these kinds of words, or even these kinds of discussions, but it's helped me to be a better conversationalist in general, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, because it's back to the psychotechnologies, right? It's something that permanently altered the way that you think. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to say relevance realization, but what is relevance realization, right? You somewhat embody that and embed it in the way that you think. And so then it's going to come out in almost every interaction that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But what chooses what's relevant is my point. Right. Is that I don't have control over what I find interesting. I mean, Peterson makes that point. It's like, how does I have control what I do. I have some control what I do with that information that comes in. But
that's what Grim Grizz would call your salience landscaper.
Mm-hmm.
Named Salty Snitch. I don't know. This guy's freaking brilliant.